Several big retailers have announced they're cutting prices, including Target, Walgreens, and Amazon. Also, gas prices are down. We take a look at that and its impact on inflation with ASU economist Dennis Hoffman. Dennis, good to see you.
Steve, great to be here with you.
So I'm going to pull the curtain back because we said I'm going to ask you what inflation is. I thought, come on. But Dennis, what is inflation?
Too much money chasing too few goods.
Okay.
And that's where this all began. It will continue as long as that's the circumstance.
Let's talk a little bit about Fed policy. What has the Fed been doing to really try to cool the extremes of inflation? And has it worked?
One tool, really, the Fed has. It's interest rates. And interest rates hit several sectors very hard. So they raise interest rates, so it hits housing hard, mortgage rates, especially in this environment when so many are locked into low rates. But high mortgage rates, high automobile loan rates. And why? What they're trying to do is cool the chase, right? Too much money chasing too few goods. So they're trying to slow down demand destruction, and hopefully bring about an easing in the rate of inflation.
How much more is the impact of inflation felt by the, frankly, fairly simple fact, it seems, that we are still a really consumer-driven economy? It's one of those that consumers, they're out buying things, and so consumers, even the perception, no question inflation has been rough, but has the perception of it made it seem worse because consumers are seeing certain goods like gas, like groceries, going up and saying, wait a second, this must mean the economy's not doing well.
It is painful, Steve, but part of the pain is the unevenness of the impact. So if you own your own home, or if you have a fixed mortgage rate at 3 or 3.5%, a big piece of this is shelter. You're sheltered from the negative impacts of inflation. If you're a renter, a commuter, getting by paycheck to paycheck and going to the grocery store and seeing high prices, it's very painful. So it's this uneven impact that's really difficult for some.
Why did inflation hit Phoenix harder than many other communities?
Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, we were more open than we didn't shut down as much as other places did, and that shut down, curtailed demand, and you had less demand. But so our demand kept pace, and people decided, both locally here and from afar, that Phoenix is a great place to live. And we don't have enough houses, as everybody knows. So that shelter component, that rental component, that house price component went bang. And that really fueled a lot of our inflation. We're a big commuter town. People tried to buy cars. Used car prices were up. Gasoline was up. Phoenix was the epicenter there for a while. But good news is here. We're in the twos.
Okay.
And it's going to get better.
I will get to that in a moment, but specifically with gas prices, how much does the way we get gas here, summer blend, et cetera, that's been a story or we don't have our own pipeline, et cetera, how much does that affect gas prices here, at least, again, the perception of things?
Well, it's important, and especially the blend issue. Why we need a unique boutique blend for Arizona is beyond me. California certainly needs a blend. Why can't we use the California blend? Oh, maybe it's because we don't want anything Californian here in the state, right, Steve? But it's tough when you have a scarce, unique blend, and that's what we went through last year. Hey, gas prices are down $1 a gallon, so this is evidence of what happens when that blend is abundant, and we're fine.
Let's come back to the Walmart, Target cutting prices. At what point?
You forgot Costco. I got chlorine there for $140. I haven't paid less than $200 for chlorine in years.
Costco gas, of course, people always talk about.
All right.
But when it comes down to these big retailers, at what point do consumers, well, I guess you're feeling with chlorine, but at what point do consumers really start to feel the downturn in prices?
Well, it's going to happen. Not having this sticker shock all the time when you go to the store will be part of it. But Steve, people ask me how much have prices gone up since 2019, and I'll say on the order of 30%. Oh, that's terrible. People can't afford 30%. wages are up on the order of 25%. And remember this unevenness. I suspect that there's a number of people that are ahead today because their wages have gone up faster than their prices. Others are behind, of course.
I noticed you mentioned 2019. You didn't say 2021. So was this an issue before Joe Biden came into office?
Inflation was ticking up in 17, 18, and 19. I'm quoting Phoenix numbers here. The inflation rate in 19 was higher than it is right now in Arizona. And I'm talking in 24. It was on the order of 4% in 2019 here.
Okay.
Just looking at Phoenix CPI.
Yeah, we have a little time to flesh this out, but what are you anticipating going forward at the end of this year and going into 2025?
Prices are going to continue to moderate. Most of the concerns now, when you hear concerns on Wall Street, you hear the Fed talking, they're concerned about the economy slowing, perhaps slowing a little bit too fast. So expect interest rates will ease a little bit, inflation will come down, and then when we compare next spring, when we compare the little bump that we had this spring with next spring's lower prices, I think inflation is going to be at or below the Fed's target here in Phoenix in January or February next spring.
Unfair last question for you quickly. How much does inflation factor into you when you look at the health of an economy as opposed to, let's say, unemployment level, stock market, that sort of thing?
Right. Well, inflation is important. It's important because it's uneven. It really hurts some people really tough. Mm-hmm. But, unemployment's important. Stock equity prices are important. It's the whole array of things. Yeah. We had too little inflation, I would argue, in 2013, 14, 15. People talked about stagnant economies. Mm-hmm. And so the Fed tried to stimulate inflation to 2%. And then COVID came along and it was like jet fuel on a fire.
So much more to talk about, but Dennis Hoffman, great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Steve, thank you.